Buffett perspective on simplifying for financial freedom. You know, I need to tell you something that might sound counterintuitive. Most people spend their whole lives accumulating things, buying things, building up their stuff, and they think that's what wealth is, having more, owning more. But the funny thing is, as you approach retirement, one of the smartest things you can do is sell. Get rid of things. Now, I'm not talking about your investments. I'm not saying sell your stocks or your retirement accounts. I'm talking about physical things, assets that people think are valuable, but they're actually draining your wealth. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I'm 94 years old now, and I've watched a lot of people retire over the years, and I've noticed something. The ones who retire successfully, who retire happily, they travel light. They're not weighed down by stuff, by maintenance, by things that need constant attention and money. They've simplified. They've let go. And that's what I want to talk about today. 5 things you should seriously consider selling before you retire. Not because you have to, but because it might be the smartest financial move you ever make. So let me walk you through this one by one, and I'll tell you why. Thing number 1. Your house? Yes, really. The first thing you should consider selling, and this is going to upset some people, your house. Now wait. Before you turn this off, just hear me out. I know your house is special. It's where you raised your kids. It's full of memories. It's home. I understand that. I really do. But here's what most people don't consider. That big family home you needed when you had kids. You don't need it anymore. The kids are gone. You're rattling around in all that space, and it's costing you a fortune. Property taxes, maintenance, utilities, insurance, repairs. A 3,000 or 4,000 square foot house can cost you $20,000, $30,000, even $50,000 a year just to maintain. And for what? So you can have 3 bedrooms nobody sleeps in? The economics of downsizing. See, here's the thing about retirement. Your income goes down, usually significantly. So you need to reduce your expenses, and your house is probably your biggest expense. Now, I'm not saying move into a tiny apartment if that makes you miserable, but downsizing can free up enormous amounts of cash. Let's say you've got a $500,000 house. You sell it. You buy a nice condo or a smaller house for $300,000. That's $200,000 you just freed up. Money you can invest. Money that can generate income in retirement. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that's $8,000 per year in extra retirement income, every year. Plus, your ongoing expenses drop. Smaller house means lower taxes, lower utilities, less maintenance. Maybe you save $10,000 or $15,000 a year just in housing costs. So between the freed up capital and the reduced expenses, downsizing your house could be worth $20,000 to $25,000 per year to your retirement. That's huge. That could be the difference between a comfortable retirement and a stressful one. The grandkids argument. Now, I know what you're thinking. But Warren, I need space for when the grandkids visit. Okay, they visit maybe a few times a year, right? A few weeks total. Is it worth spending $30,000 a year to maintain space for a few weeks of visits? Or could you downsize, save that money, and use some of it to rent a bigger place when everyone visits? Or help pay for the grandkids to visit you? When you do the math, it doesn't make sense to keep the big house. Now, I'm not saying everyone should sell. If you're emotionally attached and you can comfortably afford it, fine. But if money's tight, if you're worried about retirement income, selling that big house should be at the top of your list. The maintenance burden. Let me tell you something else people don't think about. As you get older, that big house becomes harder to maintain. Climbing stairs gets difficult. Yard work becomes impossible. Cleaning takes forever. You end up either spending all your time maintaining it or paying other people to do it. Either way, it's expensive. Expensive in time, expensive in money, expensive in stress. A smaller place? Easier to clean, easier to maintain, easier to manage. You can actually enjoy your retirement instead of being a slave to your house. I've lived in the same house in Omaha since 1958. It's not huge, it's not fancy, it's comfortable. It meets my needs. And I've never regretted not buying some massive mansion. Because, at the end of the day, a house is just a place to live. It should serve you. You shouldn't serve it. When emotional attachment costs too much. I understand the emotional attachment. I really do. Your home is full of memories. First steps, birthday parties, holidays, all of it. Those memories are real and valuable. But here's what I want you to understand. The memories aren't in the walls. They're in your heart. They're in your mind. You take them with you wherever you go. And sometimes, holding on to the physical space because of emotional attachment, when you can't really afford it, that's not honoring those memories. That's letting sentimentality hurt your financial security. The best way to honor those memories is to make smart financial decisions so you can enjoy your retirement, spend time with your family, and create new memories. Not to bankrupt yourself maintaining a house you no longer need. Thing number 2. Your extra cars. The second thing you should consider selling, and this one's easier, your extra cars. How many cars do you really need in retirement? 1, maybe 2 if you're a couple, but I see retirees with 3, 4 cars. A sedan for daily driving, an SUV for trips, a sports car for fun, a truck for, I don't know, just in case. And each one of those cars is costing you money. Insurance, registration, maintenance, depreciation. Even if the cars are paid off, they're not free. They're costing you several $1,000s a year. The retirement reality. And here's the thing. In retirement, you're not commuting anymore. You're not driving as much. You don't need all those vehicles. So, here's what I'd do. Keep 1 reliable car, maybe 2 if you both drive separately a lot. Sell the rest. Take that money. Could be $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, depending on what you're selling, and invest it. And use the money you save on insurance and maintenance. Invest that too. Every little bit helps in retirement. My philosophy on cars. Now, I've driven the same car for years. Nothing fancy, just reliable transportation. People ask me, Warren, why don't you have a collection of exotic cars? You can afford it. And I say, because I don't need them. A car gets me from point A to point B. That's all it needs to do. Everything beyond that is just ego. It's status. It's wasted money. And in retirement, you can't afford to waste money on ego. Think about it. If you've got a $60,000 luxury car sitting in your garage, depreciating every year, that's capital that could be invested. At a 4% return, that $60,000 could generate $2,400 per year in income. Forever. But instead, it's sitting there, going down in value, costing you insurance and maintenance. That's not smart. The real cost of vehicle vanity. I've seen people with multiple vehicles, a boat they use twice a year, an RV that sits in storage, a vintage car they're restoring that never gets done. Each one costs money, storage fees, insurance, maintenance. And for what? So they can say they own them? In retirement, every dollar counts. Every unnecessary expense is money that could be generating income, could be spent on experiences, could be building financial security. Don't let automotive vanity rob you of a comfortable retirement. Thing number 3, your vacation home. The third thing to sell, and this one might surprise you, your vacation home. Now, I know, the lake house, the ski cabin, the beach condo. It's been in the family for years. The kids love it. You have so many memories there. But here's what I want you to think about. How often do you actually use it? Be honest. The brutal math. Most people use their vacation home maybe 4 to 6 weeks a year, maybe less, and the rest of the time it's sitting empty, but you're still paying for it. Property taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, HOA fees maybe. A vacation home can easily cost you $10,000 to $20,000 a year, sometimes more. So let's do the math. If you use it 6 weeks a year, that's 42 days. You're paying $10,000 to $20,000 for 42 days of use. That's $240 to $480 per day. You could stay in a really nice hotel for that, or rent a vacation home when you want one. The opportunity cost. And here's the other thing. That vacation home is probably worth a lot of money. Money that's locked up, not working for you, not generating income. If you sold it, let's say it's worth $300,000, you could invest that money at 4%. That's $12,000 per year in investment income. More than enough to rent a vacation home for several weeks a year, anywhere you want. And you don't have to maintain it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to pay taxes on it. Plus, you have flexibility. One year you go to the beach. Next year you go to the mountains. The year after, maybe Europe. You're not stuck going to the same place every year just because you own property there. The hidden costs nobody talks about. Let me tell you about some costs people forget. When you own a vacation home, you're not just paying the obvious expenses, you're paying in other ways too. Distance maintenance is expensive. Something breaks, you either have to drive there to fix it or pay someone else to do it. And they charge more because they know you're not there to supervise. Property management fees if you rent it out sometimes. Wear and tear from renters. Liability if someone gets hurt on your property. Weather damage. A vacation home in Florida. Hurricane risk. In the mountains. Snow damage. By the beach. Salt corrosion. And then there's the psychological burden. Even when you're not there, you're worrying about it. Did I winterize the pipes? Is someone checking on it? What if there's a leak? That's not freedom. That's stress. The family guilt factor. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. But Warren, the kids love that place. It's where we all gather. I can't sell it. Let me ask you something. Do the kids help pay for it? Do they contribute to the maintenance, the taxes, the insurance? Usually not. They love it because it's free for them. You're subsidizing their vacations. If they love it so much, maybe they should buy it from you, or chip in for the costs. If they're not willing to do that, then maybe it's not as important to them as you think. And here's another thing. As you get older, maintaining a vacation home gets harder. Flying or driving there gets more difficult. You use it less and less, but the costs don't go down. Eventually, you'll have to sell it anyway. Why not do it now, when you can get a good price, when you can use that money to improve your retirement? What you gain by selling. When you sell a vacation home, you gain more than just the money. You gain time. You gain freedom. You gain flexibility. No more worrying about maintenance. No more feeling obligated to use it to get your money's worth. No more being stuck vacationing in the same place. You can travel anywhere, anytime. Stay in hotels, rent different places, experience new destinations. And you know what? The memories you have from that vacation home, they don't disappear when you sell it. They're still there, still real. But now you have the freedom and financial resources to create new memories, better memories, without the burden of ownership. Thing number 4, concentrated stock positions. The fourth thing to sell, and this one's important, individual stocks that you're holding for emotional reasons. Now, I love stocks. I've made my fortune in stocks. But I'm talking about something specific here. A lot of people inherit stock, or they work for a company and accumulate stock in that company over the years, and they hold on to it, even though it might not be the best investment, because it was dad's stock, or because they feel loyal to their old employer. Well, the diversification problem. But here's the thing. In retirement, you can't afford to be sentimental with your investments. You need diversification. You need safety. You need income. And if you've got 30% or 40% of your portfolio in one single stock, that's risky. Very risky. What if that company has problems? What if the industry changes? What if the stock crashes? You could lose a huge chunk of your retirement savings. I've seen this happen. People who worked for Enron, WorldCom, Lehman Brothers, they had most of their net worth in their company stock, and when those companies failed, they lost everything. Everything. Their savings, their retirement, their future, gone. And these weren't stupid people. They were smart, hard-working folks who just made one mistake, putting too many eggs in one basket because of loyalty or familiarity. The solution. So here's what you do before you retire. Look at your portfolio. If you've got more than 5% or 10% in any single stock, sell some of it. Diversify. Put it in a broad index fund. Spread the risk. Yes, you might have to pay capital gains taxes, but that's okay. It's worth it for the safety and diversification. And if the stock you're holding isn't a great business, if it's just something you inherited or accumulated out of habit, sell it all. Don't let emotion or loyalty cloud your judgment. Your retirement security is more important than sentimentality. Company stock, a special warning. Let me talk specifically about company stock, because this is where I see people make the biggest mistakes. You worked for a company for 30 years. You accumulated stock through employee stock purchase plans, 401k matching, bonuses. Maybe you've got $500,000 or more in that one stock. And you think, this is a great company. I know this company. They've been good to me. But here's what you're missing. Your retirement income already depends on that company. You're getting a pension from them, maybe. Your health insurance might be through them. Your entire career was built there. Why would you also bet your investment portfolio on them? That's not diversification. That's concentration of risk. If something happens to that company, you lose on multiple fronts. That's not smart. Sell most of it. Keep a small position if you want, for sentimental reasons, but 5% maximum. Put the rest in diversified index funds. The "wow, it's always worked" fallacy. People say, but Warren, I've held this stock for 20 years. It's always gone up. It's made me rich. Great. Congratulations. But past performance doesn't guarantee future results. You know that disclaimer everyone ignores? It's true. And more importantly, you're in a different phase of life now. When you were working, you had time to recover from losses. You had income coming in. You could ride out downturns. In retirement, you don't have that luxury. You're living off this money. You can't afford to lose 50% in a stock market crash and just wait for it to recover. You need stability, safety, consistent income. That comes from diversification, not concentration. Inherited stock, the guilt problem. And then there's inherited stock. Dad's stock, grandpa's stock, Stock that's been in the family for generations. People feel guilty selling it, like they're betraying their parents' legacy. Let me tell you something. Your parents wanted you to be financially secure. That was their goal. If holding that stock makes you financially insecure, you're not honoring their legacy. You're hurting yourself. Sell it. Diversify. Use that money to build a secure retirement. That's what they would have wanted. Your parents' legacy isn't a stock certificate. It's the values they taught you, the memories you shared, the lessons you learned. Those don't disappear when you sell stock. Thing number 5, your business. And the 5th thing to sell, this one's a little different. Your business, if you own one. Now, if you're a business owner approaching retirement, you basically have 2 choices. You can keep running the business, or you can sell it. And a lot of business owners can't let go. They built the business. It's their identity. It's their baby. So they keep working well into their 70s, sometimes their 80s. And that's fine if it makes them happy. But a lot of times it doesn't. They're tired. They want to retire. But they feel obligated, or they don't know how to sell. The time to sell. Here's what I've learned. If you want to retire and you own a business, you need to sell it. Or at least have a succession plan where someone else takes over and you get paid out over time. Because running a business is stressful. It's time-consuming. It never stops. And in retirement, you want less stress, not more. Plus, your business has value, real value. It's probably one of your biggest assets. And if you keep running it until you can't anymore, until health forces you to stop, you might not get good value for it. The business might be declining. You might be too tired to run it effectively. Buyers can see that. They'll lowball you. But if you plan ahead, if you sell when the business is doing well, when you're still energetic and involved, you can get top dollar. And then you take that money, you invest it properly, and it generates income for the rest of your life. That's much better than being trapped in a business you're too tired to run effectively. The identity crisis. Now, I understand the psychological challenge here. For many business owners, the business is their identity. I'm the owner of Smith Construction. I run Johnson's Hardware. Without that, who are you? Let me tell you, you're a person with interests, hobbies, family, friends. You're more than your business. And the truth is, if your entire identity is wrapped up in your work, retirement is going to be difficult whether you sell the business or not. Better to sell, take the money, and use your retirement to discover new parts of yourself. New interests, new passions, things you never had time for while running the business. The succession planning. Nobody does. Most business owners don't plan for succession. They think about it, they talk about it, but they don't actually do it. And then suddenly they're 75, they're exhausted, and they realize they have no plan. The business is worth something, but who's going to buy it? How do you transfer it? What's it worth? Starting that process at 75, when you're desperate to retire, is too late. You won't get a good price. You'll make mistakes. You'll be taken advantage of. Start planning at least 5 years before you want to retire. Talk to business brokers. Get valuations. Understand your options. Clean up the books. Make the business more attractive to buyers. When the time is right, let go. When you should keep working. Now, I haven't sold Berkshire, obviously, but that's because I love what I do. I'm not looking to retire. At 94, I still enjoy coming to work every day. But if I were tired, if I wanted to step back, I'd make sure there was a clear succession plan and clear leadership, and I'd transition out. Because holding on too long hurts everyone. It hurts you because you're stressed and exhausted. It hurts the business because it's not getting the leadership it needs, and it hurts your family because you're not building the financial security you should be. Only keep the business if you genuinely love it and it's not hurting your health or financial security. Otherwise, sell. Pulling it all together. The big picture. Now, let me pull this all together. These 5 things, the big house, extra cars, vacation homes, concentrated stock positions, your business, they all have something in common. They tie up capital. They create expenses. They require attention and maintenance. And in retirement, you want the opposite. You want liquid assets. You want passive income. You want simplicity. What is real wealth in retirement? See, the goal of retirement isn't to have the most stuff. It's to have the most freedom. Freedom to do what you want, go where you want, spend time with who you want. And stuff, all this stuff, it weighs you down. Every extra house, every extra car, every complicated investment, that's something you have to manage, something you have to worry about. But if you sell these things, if you convert them into simple income-producing investments, suddenly your life gets easier. Your expenses go down, your income goes up, and you can actually enjoy retirement instead of spending all your time and money maintaining things you don't really need. A real-life example. Let me give you an example. I know a couple. They were both in their early 60s. They had a big house worth about $600,000. They had 3 cars, a vacation condo, and the husband owned a small business. On paper, they were worth over $2 million, but they were stressed. They couldn't afford to retire. Why? Because all their wealth was tied up in stuff, and that stuff was expensive to maintain. So I talked to them, and I said, look, you need to simplify. They sold the big house, bought a nice condo for $300,000, freed up $300,000. They sold 2 of their cars, freed up another $50,000. They sold the vacation condo for $250,000. And the husband sold his business for $600,000. Suddenly, they had over $1.2 million in liquid, investable assets that they didn't have before. They invested it at a 4% withdrawal rate. That's nearly $50,000 per year in income. Plus, their ongoing expenses dropped by about $30,000 per year because they weren't maintaining all that stuff anymore. So their financial situation improved by almost $80,000 per year, and they retired happily, comfortably, all because they were willing to let go. Addressing common objections. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Let me address the most common objections I hear. But Warren, selling means I have to pay capital gains taxes. Yes, maybe, depending on what you're selling and how much gain there is. But here's what I want you to understand. Paying taxes on gains is not a bad thing. It means you made money. It means the asset appreciated. And yes, you'll pay maybe 15% or 20% in capital gains taxes. But think about what you're getting. Liquidity, simplicity, reduced expenses. Don't let the tax tail wag the investment dog. I've seen people hold on to things they should sell just because they don't want to pay taxes. And you know what? They end up worse off. Because the thing they're holding is costing them money every year. Or it's risky. Or it drops in value. And they would have been better off just paying the taxes and moving on. So don't be penny-wise and pound-foolish. Pay the taxes, get the benefits. My kids will be upset if I sell. Maybe. But let me ask you this. Are your kids helping you pay for these things? Are they contributing to the maintenance, the taxes, the insurance? Usually not. And here's another question. Would your kids rather you have a comfortable, stress-free retirement, or would they rather inherit a bunch of stuff that you struggle to maintain? I think if you're honest with them, if you explain the financial realities, most kids will understand and support you. And if they don't, well, it's your retirement, not theirs. You have to do what's right for your financial security. I'll lose money on the sale. Maybe. Markets fluctuate. Real estate goes up and down. Cars depreciate. But here's the thing. If you're holding on to something that's expensive to maintain, you're losing money every year you keep it. Sometimes taking a small loss on a sale is better than death by 1,000 cuts, paying expenses year after year on something you don't need. Run the numbers. Be honest about all the costs. You might find that selling, even at a loss, is still the better financial decision. Timing. When to sell. Let me talk about something else that's important. Timing. When should you sell these things? The answer is before you retire, not after. See, if you wait until after you retire to sell, you might be in a hurry. You might need the money immediately, and when you're in a hurry, you don't get good prices. But if you plan ahead, if you start selling these things a year or two before retirement, you can take your time. You can get good offers. You can negotiate. Plus, selling things takes time. Houses take months to sell. Businesses can take a year or more. So start early. Don't wait until the last minute. What to do with the money? Now let me address one more thing. What do you do with the money once you sell? Because this is critical. If you sell all these things and then just spend the money, you've accomplished nothing. The goal is to convert stuff into income-producing assets. The investment strategy. So when you sell your big house and downsize, that freed up capital goes into investments, index funds, dividend stocks, bonds, whatever your retirement portfolio strategy is. Same with the vacation home, the cars, the business, all of it. You're not selling to blow the money on a world cruise. Though maybe a small cruise is fine, but most of that money needs to go to work for you, generating income, growing over time. That's how you turn stuff into freedom. The 4% rule. Here's a simple guideline. For every $100,000 you free up by selling stuff, you can safely withdraw about $4,000 per year in retirement. So if you sell a vacation home for $300,000, that's $12,000 per year in retirement income, forever. If you downsize your house and free up $200,000, that's $8,000 per year. Sell a business for $500,000, that's $20,000 per year. It adds up fast, and suddenly retirement looks a lot more comfortable. The freedom formula. Let me tell you something I've observed over the years. The happiest retirees aren't the ones with the most stuff. They're the ones with the most flexibility, the most cash flow, the most freedom. They can pick up and travel for a month without worrying about who's watching the vacation house. They're not stressed about property taxes or maintenance costs. They're not tied down by obligations and possessions. They're light. They're free. And that's what retirement should be. You spent 40 years accumulating. Now it's time to simplify. Sell the excess, convert it to income, and enjoy your freedom. What freedom really means. Freedom in retirement means different things to different people, but there are some common elements. It means not worrying about money, not constantly stressed about bills or expenses. It means flexibility, the ability to travel, to visit family, to pursue hobbies without financial constraints. It means simplicity, not spending your days managing properties, maintaining vehicles, dealing with complicated investments. It means peace of mind, knowing you have enough, knowing you made smart decisions, knowing you can enjoy your golden years without financial stress. No, that's what selling these 5 things can give you. Not less, more. More of what actually matters. My personal philosophy. Now, I'm not saying sell everything you own and live like a monk. I'm not saying you can't have nice things or enjoy your money. But be intentional. Be strategic. Ask yourself, does this thing add to my life, or does it complicate my life? Does it bring me joy, or is it just something I'm holding on to out of habit or obligation? And if it's the latter, sell it. Use that money for things that actually improve your retirement. Travel, hobbies, time with family, whatever matters to you. I've been fortunate in my life. I've accumulated a lot of wealth, but I've never let it weigh me down. I never let possessions complicate my life. I live simply. Same house since 1958. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. And that simplicity has given me freedom. Freedom to focus on what I love, what matters. That's what I want for you in retirement too. So let me recap. 5 things to sell before you retire. 1. Your house. Downsize. Free up capital. Reduce expenses. 2. Your extra cars. Keep 1 or 2. Sell the rest. Invest the proceeds. 3. Your vacation home. Convert it to liquid assets. Gain flexibility. Eliminate maintenance burdens. 4. Concentrated stock positions. Diversify. Reduce risk. Protect your retirement. 5. Your business. Sell or transition out. Convert your hard work into income-producing assets. These moves could free up hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more. Money that can be invested. Money that can generate income. Money that can make your retirement comfortable instead of stressful. So wow. And beyond the money, you'll simplify your life. Less to maintain, less to worry about. More freedom. That's the real wealth in retirement. Not how much you have, but how free you are. The path forward. So don't be afraid to let go. Don't hold on to things just because you've always had them. Be willing to sell, to simplify, to lighten your load. Your retirement self will thank you. Start thinking now. Make a plan. Talk to your spouse, your financial advisor, your family. Run the numbers. Be honest about costs and benefits. And when the time comes, be willing to let go. It's not about having less. It's about having what matters. And in retirement, what matters most is freedom. Thank you for listening today. I hope this gives you something to think about, something to plan for. Because these decisions, they can make a huge difference in your retirement. The difference between comfortable and stressed, between freedom and burden. So start thinking now, make a plan, and when the time comes, be willing to let go. Good luck out there, and remember, the best investment you can make is in your own peace of mind and financial security. Simplify, sell, and enjoy the freedom that comes with traveling light.